regards to how to complete it so we can get it right the first time and we don't delay any closing or escrow time. Here's how the contract looks like. And can you in the back please tell me what that first line says? I bet you can. I can't do it from here. But glad to have it magnified. Each one of these lines are going to be magnified and up here so you can see them. All right, line number 1, very simple. It asks for the FHA case number, it asks for the name of the person that's purchasing this home, and the property address. Straightforward, can't go wrong on that. The only thing I do want to remind you on the property address, make sure you put the county. Sometimes in the contracts, I know in California contracts, the county is in a line by itself. I think it's the same in Arizona. But on HUD contract, it's on the same line as the actual property address. So make sure you put that in there. Line 2 is referring to the title in which the style and title will be taken. So the buyer needs to know what, how the title is going to be taken. If they're single man, single woman, single anything. So they need to put that down on that portion. Line number 3 is you enter the purchase contract or the actual purchase price and the amount of the earnest money deposit. Earnest money deposit, like I mentioned, $500 or $1,000. Can't go wrong there. I still get requests on if they can add more as earnest money deposits. We can make it more favorable. The question is no, because it doesn't matter what your earnest money deposit is. So just keep it at $500 or $1,000. It does not affect your bid. Okay. And then, of course, on line 3, it's going to ask, you're going to have to input HUD's designated closing agent. Those 4 words have to be on line number 3 on the last line of it. Line number 4 has different ways of completing it. And I'll just go through this briefly. If it's FHA 203B, 203K, or 203B insured escrow, you're going to check mark one of those lines right there, one of those items. Okay? On the bottom part, right underneath that, the down payment and the terms are always going to be left blank. You don't have to put anything in there. So don't worry about those 2 items there. Okay? Okay, for cash, you're going to put right there. You're going to check mark on that last important part of line number 4. Purchaser is paying cash or applying for conventional or other financing not involving FHA. So that means that anybody that's paying cash, conventional, what other types? Rural development loans, VA, they would be check marking that one right there. Okay? The USDA is what I was referring to. Okay, here's another one I want to show you kind of closely at. Insured escrow. If you have a property that's an IE, this is how you complete line number 4. You want to check mark that it is 203B repair escrow. And then again, you're going to leave the down payment and terms blank. However, you're going to check mark said mortgage involves a repair escrow amount amounting to whatever that number is on the HUDHomestore.com website. That amount is going to be stated because the appraiser noted the escrow amount. So let's say it's $2,000. That's the number that you put in that line right there. Simple? Yes? No? Yes. All right. No? Did I hear no? The microphone's not on?
The other one.
Oh. The hum's still there. I turned this off, so I don't know. Okay. So, going forward to line number 5. Line number 5, you're going to enter the amount that you're requesting as a seller closing cost credit. Remember, that's up to 3%. And it's always dollar amounts. Don't forget, always put dollar amounts, not percentages. Line number 6A and 6B have to deal with commissions. These are your commissions. Make sure, again, dollar amounts. Don't put percentage. Don't put 3 for 3%, otherwise you're going to pay $3. You don't want to do that. Okay, line number 6B is for the agent. That's, I believe, listing agent. That's auto-populated at whatever 3% is. And line number 7 is the great number. That's the number that we look at when we're looking at the highest net. And of course, that is going to be auto-calculated for you, so you don't have to worry about getting that wrong. Line number 7 is going to be auto-populated and calculated for you. Line number 8, you're going to check the appropriate box for occupancy, if it's an owner-occupant, investor, so on and so forth. Line number 9, you're going to enter 45 days for the standard cash, standard FHA loan, or any other type of loan, conventional, USDA, VA. If it's 203K, you're going to put 60 days on that. Line number 10 is the backup status. If you want your offer to be a backup status, if it was not originally the highest net to HUD, you would mark that yes or no if you want that to happen. I always, it doesn't hurt to mark yes because it's always a backup, and it can come back and, we'll notify you if that first one falls through. Line number 11 deals with the lead-based paint. You're going to make note if the addendum should be attached or not. Is it attached or not? So we know that anything prior to 1978, there is going to be a lead-based paint addendum attached to that. So you're going to mark is. If it's after 1978, then it's going to mark is not attached. Other addendum, I think, is automatically check marked all the time. If it's not, just make sure that other addendum is marked. You're going to always have other addendum in the contract. Line number 12, you must initial on the purchaser's initials. Do not initial on the seller's initials, please. And then line 13 is all the pertinent information about the buyer, their address, their phone number, the signatures. This is where the broker signs, and it has to be the broker of record that has the name number. That's the one that signs the contract. And for the infamous question of what color ink, I always highly recommend blue. Anytime you're dealing with contracts, you want to use blue ink because of the fact that black ink, when it comes to us, certain black inks, we cannot determine if they're copy or if they're original. So we're going to send it back for revisions if that happens. So you're always safe when you do it with blue ink. So I highly recommend always use blue ink on contracts. And then, of course, signature stamps are not acceptable. Make sure it's wet ink. This is the back part of the contract, which is the conditions of sale. That must be also signed by every purchaser on the bottom right-hand corner. And a couple of addendums I'm going to go through. This is the owner-occupant certification addendum. This states that each person on the contract is certifying that they will be living in the property as owner-occupants. Keep in mind, the broker, also the name registered broker has to sign that as well. And they have to certify that the buyers are going to be occupying as their primary residence. So keep that in mind. Another addendum is your home inspection addendum. That, of course, they'll have to sign that they are going to be doing a home inspection or not. The check mark on the bottom left-hand corner there. Appraisal request form, this is going to be attached to your contract when it's sent out to you. This is for anybody that's doing FHA financing. You give it to your lender. The lender requests the FHA appraisal from us, and we send it back to them almost immediately. The lender is the one that requests this. If it's not included in your form, make sure that you can download it. Realize that you can download it from our website on our form section. So if it's missing, it's also going to be available on that website. Agency disclosure. Ensure that the sales contract package includes the agency disclosure from your broker. Proof of funds. This is very simple. You do need a approval letter from the lender. And it has to be on letterhead, so make sure. And then also for people that are paying cash, you need to have source of funds, proof of funds from the bank that this is where they're getting their money from. If they're getting their money from a stock or something like that, make sure that they send us proof of funds that are liquid. Okay, we want to see liquid assets, not assets in retirement that are you have to borrow against this and that. We want liquid. Those are the ones that we verify in regards to source of funds. And then earnest money deposit. This is where you give a cashier's check or a money order. In the 1S region, they don't have to be a U.S. postal money order, but they do have to be a certified funds from the bank. And then, of course, HUD or the buyer's name, like I mentioned before. And you may want to reference the FHA case number on doing this money deposit, cashier's check, or money order. Where you deliver the contract and addendum to, you deliver it to our office in Irvine. We also have an office in Michigan for our Michigan contract. However, of course, your area that we're going to be dealing with is the headquarters in Irvine. So that's where all the contracts and inquiries go to. Okay, some frequently asked questions that we've seen from people, agents, lenders. I'm going to go through a couple of these so we're all aware of them. First one, it says if we find other repairs during our home inspection, will they be added to the appraisal? Well, per the handbook 4150-2, the lender has final say on the escrow repair items. So no, they're not going to be added automatically. However, if they're minimum property standard repairs and your lender, underwriter, authorizes that they can be used to be added on the escrow amount, this is where you can make the escrow amount changes. And here's how it works. Okay, so if you're dealing with an IE escrow type, and the IE escrow type says that there's $2,000 in repair escrow. Well, sometimes that's not an exact figure. An appraiser is not a general contractor where they can give you an exact figure, but it's very close to it. However, if there's some items that the lender finds that they are requiring and you put as a repair escrow, you can increase that amount from $2,000 all the way to $5,000 if you wanted to, depending on what that lender says, the underwriter says. Now, the underwriter will have to submit bids to show us proof that this is how much it's actually going to cost. So at that time, you would have to put in a change of finance type request form where you would increase the escrow amount from $2,000 to, let's say, $4,000. Okay? You would submit that to us. We would either approve it or not approve it. Of course, we're in the business to close these transactions, so we're going to help out as much as possible. As long as it's within lines and guidelines, we can go for it and we'll approve it. Okay? If there's like a stove that the lender is requiring that you have them put a bid or have them put an advertisement of how much that stove costs, and they can increase that repair amount to that amount, whatever it is that you want. Now, I'll come back to you real quick. Now, if you have a insured listing that does not have a repair escrow amount, you can always create an escrow repair amount based on the lender's underwriter, of course, and change it from an IN to an IE. Again, it's done through the the change of finance type request form. You're going to make the change from an insured to an insured with escrow with the escrow amount and the bids also included. And then we actually approve that or not approve it.